Wild music is the predominant shape of hip-hop culture's sounds these days. There's a desire for party music and vibes that is ever encroaching upon the valuable diversity that makes up the overall genre. Aha Gazelle summed up the overall mindset best. We need some bangers. Amidst all the clamor and grasping for that coveted throne, that king of hip-hop seat, an individual artist stands unfazed. He looks to his left, some cool guys doing some cool guy raps. Then, to his right, some hyena seeking to form false friendships with him. He looks within himself and sees, even though he's been through hell and back, he's still got a cold flow. He looks to God and feels the sign that it's not the wrong time, but rather it's time to go. Thus, he makes his move. In all seriousness, that probably wasn't at all how the development of Ruslan's Indy Jones 2 went. It took a lot of time and effort, and the result is an 11-song project of about 36 minutes length. I'd like to give a quick welcome to all those watching. I'm SimIam, and today we'll be doing a quick review of Indy Jones 2. Let's have a look and see just what these 36 minutes amount to. Right from the beginning, this album disregards the concept of pulling punches. Obviously, things could be a lot more detailed, but in the name of tasteful music, Ruslan makes details a gift to hear rather than a burden to bear. He welcomes listeners into his life, as opposed to wildly dumping his baggages out for all to see. The first song, Does an Intro, sets the lyrical atmosphere to be poised, honest, and awkward all at the same time. No matter how cocky or confident people deem him to be, he's actually quite intimidated and fragile as any real human. The song reminded me that, as Christians, we shouldn't judge someone by their artistry or appearance in general. Underneath it all, you never know how close someone is to cracking. Despite his blatant honesty, Ruslan doesn't come across as putting himself down. It's as if there were a table, and you as the listener are seated with Ruslan. He sets things from his life on this table and explains them candidly, without belittling himself. Fortunately, this grace is extended to others throughout the album. In the songs Time to Go and Cool Guy Raps, he openly confronts his naysayers, as well as rappers who sell harmful messages through their music. It never gets personal though, he stays cool-headed and avoids coming across as self-righteous. The song Wrong Time, meanwhile, focuses primarily on Ruslan himself. We find him reflecting on past life while simultaneously gathering resolve for the future. He expresses this joyous feeling that God is truly putting his favor upon him, the feeling that perhaps his past endeavors weren't as fruitful because they were all preparing him for this season. Each of the tracks contain nicely fleshed out concepts overall, and Winona's song might be the strongest of them all when it comes to this. It takes you through a great portion of a particular woman's life, and the lyrics are brutally frank with a much needed tinge of hope. On a broader note though, Ruslan's persona as a rapper is one of the most interesting aspects of this album. Ruslan is an everyman as an artist, and that idea manifests in multiple songs. Others think he isn't special, and he seems to agree to some extent. To me, it made the album a lot more relatable, even if admittedly there's not a lot of artists like Ruslan. This album tears down the idea of idolizing rappers, as Ruslan makes it abundantly clear that he's got flaws and scars to spare. He's less of a rap star and more of a regular guy who can rap. Just like Ruslan, I can be a regular guy and use whatever talents I've been gifted with to glorify God. It's really a message that can hit home on multiple levels, and so I wouldn't say that this album is confined to any particular age group. Ruslan's lyrical confidence is infectious in the right ways. At the same time, his honesty and humility constantly remind us that he's really just a normal guy. While Ruslan's lyricism is a shining feature of this album, it takes a lot of sitting with to really appreciate. If there's a quality that immediately stands out on this project, it's the production. Indy Jones 2 sounds like it was meticulously brewed, mixed, and concocted as to be a truly pleasing experience for one's ears. Oftentimes, indie artists have a distinct sound to them. Their music usually sounds rougher, less polished than artists backed by a successful label. Even though Ruslan is a true blue indie to the point where he's called himself Indy Jones twice, you wouldn't be able to tell by how this project sounds. Now, I would attribute this to a few things at the very least. Ruslan is consistently successful as an artist, and with how long he's been making music, he's likely earned himself some solid resources by now. Not only does he have better resources, but again, he's been making music for a seriously long time. I not only hear, but also feel the precision that veteran artists carry in this album. Its sounds feel so natural and comfortable, and that's thanks to Ruslan knowing where his musical strengths are by now. Along with this seasoned taste for music making comes a solid ability to pick out good feature artists, and Ruslan doesn't disappoint here. Bigger artists like Derek Minor and No Big Deal join the stage and give verses typical of their high quality artistry, but Ruslan shows love to the lesser known as well. He even went so far as to sign an upcoming artist, John Keith, to his record label. John handily demonstrated his talent on Ruslan's previous mixtape, but this time he really lets loose. Not only does he give a rather catchy hook, but he provides great synergy with Ruslan through a quick-witted and quick-paced verse. As far as some of my other favorite features go, You're Welcome can't go unmentioned. While many may have known him under a previous artist name in the past, he's back with a new start and a new sound to boot. His wavy vocals fit the Hyena track to a T, and he brings in abundance that new school vibe that can give a song some extra shine. Charlene Nash just might be my favorite feature artist here. Dedicated singers aren't as prominent as they used to be in hip-hop, but they're nevertheless welcome. Charlene's soulful vocals give the song Wrong Time a warm and relaxed feeling, making for a highly memorable track. Something else I enjoyed about this album's sound was the varied voice techniques Ruslan used. He sounds like himself in songs like Wrong Time, does an intro and Time to Go, but I noticed a lot of experiments elsewhere. Back Against the Wall has him using such a peculiar voice that I actually asked him if he was intending to sound like Stevie Wonder as he sounded in the song That Girl. Unfortunately, the stretch was too far and Ruslan told me no, but that was the only comparison I could think of. In Hyena, meanwhile, his voice is a little frantic and raspy. It's not so much as to distract from the song, but it gave the song's message more of an urgent and emotional energy. I could go on, but I'll just leave it at this. The production just might be the strongest aspect of Indie Jones 2. These beats match the neon lights and dimly lit scenery that Ruslan tends to favor as of late. Meanwhile, the jazzy and groovy undertones ensure that the album never feels uncomfortable or takes itself too seriously. It's a great clash that results in a project that sounds earnest and authentic to its core. Ruslan walks a bizarre path when it comes to continuity. He doesn't exactly have a sound when I think about it. He's an artist that tends to present different sounds and flows, as opposed to an artist who tends to present the same vibe or style. His songs don't feel related to one another, there's no overarching story, and even his beats don't have similar styles or structures. There was a time maybe where you could say Ruslan always sounded highly confident, but he breaks away from that quite frequently throughout this project. Honestly, Ruslan sounds emotionally scarred sometimes in this project, so even his trademark voice is all over the place this time. What keeps Ruslan seeming so familiar as an artist is his interaction with his listeners. I've said this before, but Ruslan has cultivated quite an attentive core audience. This is because he's always posting YouTube videos, often promoting his music in a personable way. It's not all about him though, as he makes plenty of videos where he actually gives advice to upcoming creatives. On top of this, he even holds live videos where he'll listen to the music of his fans and offer them constructive feedback. Ruslan shows an atypical amount of care for his audience, and in return, they tend to support him and his experimental ways of doing music. So, if you've liked Ruslan's previous projects, I can't actually guarantee that you'll like this one. On the flip side, if his past ones left a bad impression, this might be the project to change your perspective. Ruslan's sound is ever-changing, but he keeps in touch with his listeners as a person. No matter how eclectic his music feels, I'm reminded that it's still the same guy trying new things. Thanks to that, Indie Jones 2 feels familiar to Indie Jones. Not in the way that a sequel is familiar, but more so in the way that both projects feel like they came from the same mind. It's pretty obvious by now that I did enjoy this project, but this was all my personal opinion. Indie Jones 2 is an unorthodox collection of songs that all feel connected and flow together, but they're ultimately unrelated. That being said, the variety in this case doesn't result in an album that has something for everyone. There's no bangers on this album, nor is there even the typical love song that many hip-hop artists tend to include. Instead, there's a lot of songs with an almost awkward amount of honesty, and beats that are introspective. This album is almost the antithesis to the loud and party-centric trends of popular hip-hop, and for that, it might be a tough listen. He doesn't really take it easy on any of these tracks. They all hit hard due to his lyricism and the quiet nature of his production that allows his words to retain their full impact. If you're looking for a project that exposes the soul of the artist and aims to be encouraging in a realistic way, this is definitely one worth picking up. If you've been looking for an album that's clean but full of great party music, it's probable that this one is just not for you. And that about sums up my thoughts on this eccentric but amiable project. What did you guys think of it? We've had almost a month to sit with it, so I'm curious to hear your thoughts. If you liked this video, make sure to leave a like and subscribe for future content. Until next week, peace out.